So just a short and sharp one here. Just having a look at Aussie. Finally, seems like we're sort of putting in at least a sort of short-term base here. So we've got the two high lows. So we've got one coming in here. We've obviously got this other sort of push that tried to come down. Where are we? Just here. So we've got the first high low coming in. We've got this attempt of the main sort of channel that we've been respecting for the last, what's this? Since 14th of July, so 6 weeks or so, has been just coming down in this channel here. We can see that we came up, tested it sort of midway through last week. Obviously, boom, swiftly rejected, bang, back down again. So now we're actually sort of seeing another attempt coming in through this line. So we obviously want to see the closes on the outside of this channel just to sort of confirm it. But the second effort and the failure to continue to the downside of this continuation. So we know that the sellers are sitting along this line here. The failure to continue this pattern down to this bottom side here is quite a sort of bullish signal sort of coming in. So now we've got this second attempt in a couple of days to come outside this channel. So we're going to pick this little swing high zone over here. That's going to be our sort of confirmed breakout point. And that then will give us a higher low. And then obviously this will be our high, and that will give us a higher high, and we can start to see some sort of form of a bit of an uptrend sort of working off there. Copper, we can see that obviously we hit our price target last week. Ever since then, it's really just sort of like it's sold straight off. Like a lot of the market tended to agree with that sort of valuation of where it sort of should have gone in the short term. But as you see, it's sort of pulled back here. This is the profit taking. I haven't actually looked at where we're at with the fib, but obviously the pullback doesn't seem too deep on here. So we're coming back only just at the 38, which also we see lines up with these previous highs over here. So at the moment, this is all still looking like it's a potential shot to move a little bit higher and see if we can get onto that sort of daily level. Don't have it marked on this chart here, but yeah, certainly I think we've got a little bit more upside to come with the copper in the next couple of days. This also will sort of spur on the Aussie dollar. DXY has been sort of slowing down a little bit, but of course, I mean, how many times have we seen this on this main sort of trend going up here? Bang, bang, bang. Every single time we're like, okay, yep, that's it. It's gonna slow down a little bit. This last little push is very interesting. This one, if we sort of jump onto a lower time frame. Now we saw this sort of sharp sell-off. I can't remember what data this was, but there was some sort of data that came out, sort of obviously not supporting a continued sort of rise in the rates with the US coming from the Fed. But the recovery of this was just incredible. And then coming into the end of last week, we saw this little sharp push down at first. This was the second day of Jackson Hole when Jerome Powell was talking, and you can see this bang explosion up to the top side here. Of this last sell down here, we've actually come right up, and you can see that this has just clipped the 161 retracement of that sort of drop down. So a massive, massive push up here. But at the moment, it's certainly looking like the market's happy to sort of take a little bit of a cool off. Generally, when you sort of see these sort of wicks to the downside, these are a good sort of point that we can sort of go, okay, look, this could be a bit of a target for us. So maybe across here, I wouldn't be surprised to sort of see a little bit of a reaction coming up here. But again, still going back, this is the main trend. This big one here is the one that we really want to see a close underneath, because every time that we've sort of been thinking, okay, here we are. I mean, how many times sell down here, explosion back up, sell down here, explosion back up. So really, till we get underneath this trend, and then of course we've still got a lot of these levels where it sort of was grinding up sort of on the way up. These are again going to sort of provide to be a couple of sort of like resistance points moving up as well. Just got an alert going off on Aussie. And look, as you can see, Aussie's just making a nice little move now. So it looks like the market's also agreeing that, okay, it's time to push up a little bit higher. So that's a positive sign for Aussie sort of in the short term. And yeah, gold again, it's doing the same sort of little thing. How did its wedge? I mean, this thing has been an absolute sort of nightmare for anybody long on it. But as you can see, we broke out. We've got these high lows coming in now. We can start to sort of draw a few of these up and sort of start to pick where may we see a few more levels sort of coming to the top side. So look, honestly, I think there's a good chance that we could see look around this sort of mid 30s. I actually had sort of I think 40, 42 as a bit of a target based on a sort of another chart that I'd drawn up. So we can have a look at this now if we go onto the daily and if we pick these sort of highs along here. I'm not taking from this spike here because on a bunch of the different exchanges, it actually came in with a different level on these ones. So I don't really trust this spike too much. And obviously this was a lot of just shorts covering. So anybody that was obviously sort of like long, oh sorry, short from above these highs, stops here, bang, boom. So I'm not really counting those too much. But if you look at these ones and you drag this across here, you can start to see a little bit of a channel that it had sort of been respecting, of course, a couple of dollars either way. Again, this is quite large gaps around here. Failure to sort of continue down to this sort of 1860s point in the short term is quite strong. This is the main resistance of a falling that you want to sort of get above. But I would say there's a good chance that we could see a little bit of a push back up here, up until around, look, on this, it's sort of depending, obviously, how fast it comes up to 1950 would be good, but I would say around the 1940s is probably the zone. If we look at this as a bit of a drop down from here as well, we've got, don't normally use this multicolored fib, it's just on a different platform at the moment, but yeah, coming in around these sort of 49 level around here, we're getting this 161 retracement, and also you see sort of, top side of maybe this sort of late recovery channel we're getting here, we're getting the downside. So this is pretty much my sort of area over here to sort of say that I think we could sort of probably, particularly with the continued sort of sell down of the USD, if we do happen to get that, if we got NFP later this week. So yeah, it'd be interesting to sort of see what happens there. But if we get a sell-off on the US dollar, I think we can definitely see a little bit of sort of recovery with gold, at least up until the 1940s, maybe 1950, and Aussie dollar back up towards 65 plus, still targeting 66 in the medium term.